Good morning. I think I'm live. My name is Julie. I am the owner and founder of Lady Faulty. You're either watching this video on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. So thank you and welcome. Today's video is going to be part of the Clair's series. There's 8 videos in this series. And today we're going to be talking about Clairgustance. And so we're going to talk about what that means a little bit. And if you're interested in any of the other Clairs, you can certainly go back and watch all the other videos. I believe this is video number 6 out of 8. So you can go back and watch those. If you're on YouTube, there's actually a playlist that's called the Clair series. You can click right in there and all the videos will be right in that little playlist for you. So before we get started, I'm just going to take a little piece off my sage bundle here. Find a piece that will come off easily. Or not. There we go. It's just a little piece, but that's all I need. Just a little teeny piece. But I really don't want to burn myself. All right. So as you can see, this one little teeny leaf is plenty. I ordered a small sage bundle, and that is what this is what came. It's starting to come unraveled where I've pulled leaves off it. But, yeah, that is not a small sage bundle, but that's okay. But by lighting it, just lighting the end, I feel like that's being very wasteful for it. So I just light it a little leaf at a time. So, and as you can probably still see, there's still plenty of smoke going through here. So anyway, let's jump right in. So it's been a busy week. I was with you guys on Monday for our weekly forecast. I was with you yesterday for a new moon video. So we talked about some astrology of the new moon, and then we did a little craft, which I did not get mine finished yet. So I will do that either tonight or maybe later by the end of the weekend it'll be done. And I'll get some pictures posted for you. So yeah, so Clairgustance, and what is it? What does it mean? And how does it work, right? This Clair is, my watch just made a really funny sound. This Clair is all about taste. So it's clear tasting. So it's an odd one. And again, it's one of the lesser known ones, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are Clairgustants and don't realize that that's what they are. With any of the Clairs, I think there's lots of people out there that are, and they don't realize what they are. Now, the ones we talked about in the beginning, like clairvoyance and things like that, people are a little bit more familiar with that. Maybe not the word clairvoyance, but when you talk about what it is, people are like, oh yeah, I know what that is. But when you get down into some of these lesser known Clairs and you talk about them, that people are like, that's a thing. It's like, yes, that is a thing. And so I felt it was important to go ahead and kind of shed some light on some of these Clairs that maybe people don't know about. I did talk about, the more popular ones to start with, but now we're getting into the lesser known ones. So clear taste, and that is obviously not just putting food in your mouth and tasting it, because then that would be all of us. So clear taste is the ability to taste something without putting it in your mouth. So, and it can come into play like any of the clairs. It's going to be a little bit different for a lot of us. Um, it may be triggered by something. It may be triggered by a person, it may be triggered by a place. It may just come out of the blue. Um, I have where I smell. So I will be sitting in the house and a relative will come or ancestor will come to visit, and I can smell either like perfume or cigarettes or something that I know that someone's here. Now, this primarily happens to me at nighttime, but I think it happens to me all the time. I think just during the day when I'm out in the world and there's a lot of different things and a lot of different people going around me, that I don't tend to notice it as much as I do when I'm home. It's just me and my husband where, there's no candles going, there's no windows open, and I smell something and I'm like, oh yeah, I know who that is. But I think it happens during the day too. I think we just don't tend to notice. I don't tend to notice it because I'm, around people. Like if you're in a big grocery store and there's lots of people around you, you're not going to notice, one specific smell necessarily. So, you have to kind of lean into it and feel out what it really is for you and how it works for you. And like I said, I think I have the ability to smell all the time, but it primarily happens to me at night because, and I primarily notice it at night because I don't have a lot of other interference, so to speak. So it's going to be similar to the taste. If you are someone who is constantly eating, and that's not an insult by any means. I know a lot of people who eat very small meals many times a day. I know people who just munch throughout the day. So if that's you, you may have a little bit of a harder time if this is you, if you are Clairgustance, if you are clear tasting. So again, you kind of have to lean into it. If you think you may have this, if you think you may have the ability for clear taste, for Clairgustance, my suggestion would maybe be to go a little bit longer between meals, maybe, to see if you're picking up something in between. But yeah, we'll get to that part anyway. So this is what they call energetically tasting. So it's out of nowhere. It's out of the blue. If you ate apple pie like 20 minutes ago and then you taste apple pie, that's probably not Clairgustance. That's probably acid reflux or indigestion. Like I said, it could be a person, a place, or a thing that maybe triggers it, or the taste itself could be a person, place, or a thing. I personally think it's more related to ancestral stuff, so I think it's generally going to be a person, but according to what I've read, other people say no, it could be associated to a place or a time as well. So I'll trust that, but I think primarily it's going to be a person, an ancestor. For me, when I smell like rose water, I know that's my gram, and I know it's a way for her to let me know that she's here with me. So I kind of think the taste is the same way. It's an ancestor that's here that's letting us know that they're checking in on us, that they're here with us. Sometimes it's just to pop in and just hang out for a little while. Um, People do say that it tends to come with a message, and I do find that a lot of times that is correct. But I have certainly had my Graham come to me just in times when I am stressed or emotional, and I think she's just kind of hanging out to just be with me and help me through it. And like I said, there's other times I'm just watching TV and an ancestor will pop in, and I'm like, okay, they're just here to check in, hang out. I don't think that every time they're here, it has to come with a big message or warning. Sometimes they just want to check in on you and hang out. Um, but with that being said, when these things happen, whether it's clairvoyance or clairgustance or clairsentience or um, clairscent or any of the other ones, pay attention to what you're picking up. Pay attention to where you are, what time it is, um, what might be going on at the moment. And as you do this and it comes to you more often, you may start to realize there's a pattern or there's a meaning or um, something that's maybe doing this. Um, well, we know what's doing it, but something that may be heightening it for you, or like I said, it may just be. For me, like I said, I have the clear scent, and it happens to me more at night. But again, I think it's just because I don't have other interfering things going on, other people around that, people have smells. And when you're around people during the day, I think it's harder to pick up little smells. So I can only assume, I don't believe I have clairgustance. Um, well, again, let me rephrase that. We all have the ability to do all of these clairs. Some of them just come more natural to some than to others. And my examples, in the past have been, some people can just pick up a paintbrush and just naturally paint a beautiful picture. Um, and some of us can pick up a paintbrush and we're not that good at it, but we just keep practicing and practicing and practicing and we get there. And other people really, really have to really struggle to get there. Um, and I think it's the same, whether it's music or painting or sports. Some people are just naturally talented at sports, and other people have to really work at it. And some people will work at it and work at it and really never, they can do it, but they're never really that good. Um, no offense, because I have lots of things that I am no good at. Um, so I think the clairs are the same thing. There are ones that some of us are just naturally, we don't really even have to try. They just come to us and we can work with them and use them. Other ones we have to kind of, if you choose, can practice and work on it and develop it and get better at it. Others will try and really struggle and not really get there. And for me, like, I have little bits of this and little bits of that and little bits of this, but I have two that are fairly, that I'm fairly good at, that work fairly natural for me. And so I'm not worried about all the other ones that I can't really do or that I kind of can do. I'm going to put my time and my energy into the two that I'm already pretty good at, that kind of came natural to me. So, and again, that's a personal preference. If you're somebody who's like, I'm going to master all 8 of these and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to practice and practice and practice till I got them all, that's great. If you're more like me and be like, I think this is my natural gift and I'm really going to just focus on this and work with this, that's right, okay too. There's no right or wrong way. But again, sidetracking and going on little tangents. Um, so let's get some examples here of exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so if you have, it doesn't even have to be necessarily people that are deceased. But I find a lot of times that is the case. But it can come in other ways. So, first example I have written down is, say your best friend in the world loves strawberries. That's like her favorite thing. She always wants strawberries. You know she loves strawberries. And all of a sudden you kind of taste strawberries out of nowhere. You're not eating anything, you're not drinking anything. Maybe you're just sitting on the couch playing on your phone, and and then all of a sudden you get a taste of strawberries, and then a few minutes later your best friend calls you. So that can be one of the ways that it works. So it's kind of like the future, but not quite. It's not going to go. It's I think more in a matter of a short span. So I don't think you're going to taste necessarily strawberries and then your best friend is going to call you in 2 weeks, kind of thing. I think it's more of a short term, like right around the same time frame. But again, everybody is different and it can come differently for everybody. So again, that's why, if you think you have this, my suggestion would be carry a little notebook with you, or if you got a notes thing in your phone, or put it on your calendar on your phone, whatever works for you. But when you think something is coming up, to write it down, put it somewhere, and again, kind of sit with it for a minute and be like, okay, what was I doing? Where was I? What was happening around me? And maybe what happened, within a 10 or 15 minute window after the fact. And maybe it has nothing to do with anything that's going to happen. Maybe it is just an ancestor. But, trying to kind of journal that and keep track of that, and eventually the pieces will start to fit together for you. But so again, back to the ancestors, which I think is a little bit more of what people may experience, but I am by no means an expert in any of this. I just read books and done research online, and like I said, these are things I want to learn for myself, and so as I'm learning things, I'm sharing them with you. And anybody who has any insight or wisdom on the subject, I would love for you to add to the comments and add your own experiences or your own knowledge to this as well. But say you have a grandmother that passed, and she was known for her apple pie. She made the best apple pie. Maybe it's not her favorite. Maybe her apple pie she doesn't really like apple pie, but maybe she was really, well known for making apple pie. And you may be sitting there someday and get just a clear taste of, the apples and the warm and the cinnamon, and you're just like, my God, that was Gram's pie. My Gram made fudge. She loved to make fudge. I don't know if she loved to make fudge, but she made a lot of fudge. So I'm assuming she loved to make fudge. But she would make all kinds of fudge. But I never remember seeing her eat it. But she made it because everybody else in the family really liked it. So again, that same kind of scenario may not have been her favorite. But maybe it was her favorite. In that aspect, my Gram always loved those little, I haven't seen them in forever, those little pink peppermint candies. They were round pink candies. Not the swirly ones. It was just a solid, like, hot pink peppermint candy. Anyway, those were always at her house in a little candy dish. And her and my grandfather both loved them. And so if I was clairtangent and I got a very strong taste of peppermint, then I would associate that with my Gram. So again, you can kind of have to kind of tap into it and lean into it, feel into it, whatever you want to call it, and pay attention to it when these little things happen, and don't brush them off, because that's what we tend to do. We're like, that was weird, and we just brush things off. But just pay attention to it and kind of keep track of it. Um, so we talked about the apple pie, we talked about the fudge, we talked about the strawberries. Those are all very good things. Um, but you could also experience a number of other things. And this is a little harder to kind of pinpoint. But again, if you think that you have Clairgustance, if you are Clairgustance, again, just try to keep a journal and try to keep track of what is going on. Because these next symptoms are kind of, I say symptoms, but I guess that's what it is. Um, it's kind of hard to pinpoint what these could really mean for you because some of these are including dry mouth, which I have dry mouth all the time, but I talk for a living. I talk to you guys and I get dry mouth. That's why I have my water or tea or something nearby. I talk on the phone all day at work, and so I have dry mouth. So saying dry mouth could be one is a possibility, but again, kind of lean into that and feel like what is really going on there. The next one could be unexplainable salivating. Not really attractive, but if your mouth is just watering and you don't really know why. Now, if you're looking at food or looking at pictures of food, or you walk by a bakery and your mouth is salivating, again, I don't believe that that would be a sign of Clairgustance. So again, pay attention to what's around you, what's going on when these things happen for you. And, if you are smelling food and your mouth is starting to salivate, then, that's probably not Clairgustance's. Belching, again, pay attention because the next one is belching and hiccups kind of go together. But they all kind of, the dry mouth, salivating, belching, and hiccups, you know, if you have just eaten something, or if you have just drank something, or if you smell food, or looking at food, or talking about food, and these things are happening, it's probably not Clairgustance. So again, none of these are easy. None of these are just like clear and easy and like this is what happens and you have it. You kind of have to use your intuition. You kind of have to, pay attention and really, again, not just like I said, like for me, I smell roses and I don't naturally just assume that that's my gram because if I'm in a grocery store, maybe I just walked by the flower section in the grocery store and I'm smelling, maybe somebody opened the door and there's smell of roses. So again, kind of pay attention to what's around you and what's going on when these things are happening, and you will start to see what is your pattern, what is it that how it works for you, because how it works for me may be different than how it works for you. But um, so also unexplainable food cravings could be a possibility as well. Now we all have food cravings. I crave anything sweet, candy, cake, chocolate. Anything that's really sweet, I'm pretty much craving it. And I don't think that's Clairgustance. I think that's just me. If all of a sudden I craved something that was really not in my wheelhouse, like um, fish, I don't know. Um, I'm not a big fish eater. So if all of a sudden I was really craving like fried haddock or fried clams or something, I would kind of know that wasn't really me. Something else was going on there. And then I would lean into it. And the first thing that I thought of was Eric's grandfather used to love fried clams. We used to take him to Old Orchard to get fried clams. So you can kind of, follow your intuition and your instinct on that when things like that come up for you. Um, I don't know if I I don't crave much other than candy and sweets. But say I was craving something like popcorn. I don't know. Popcorn is not something that I would normally be craving unless somebody else in the office is making popcorn and the whole office smells like popcorn, then sometimes I want popcorn. But again, that's because I smelled it and then I wanted it. But if I just out of nowhere, all of a sudden I'm like, I really want popcorn. I really, 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 really want popcorn. Like I would kind of know that wasn't me. So um, it may not necessarily be just food. So this is kind of the part of the, gifts can be gifts, or some people call them curses. So it could be non-food, could be things like alcohol. So maybe you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you get a very strong taste of whiskey or bourbon or something like that. And like those are not anything you would drink, or you haven't drank. Maybe it's something you drink, but you haven't drank in weeks or months or whatever, and you get a very strong taste of bourbon. So that could happen. Cigarettes, again, like I said, when I smell, I often get either cigarette smell, sometimes a tobacco smell, and I've got like dirty ashtray smell. So they're not always roses and vanilla. um, Sometimes the smells aren't so pleasant, and sometimes the tastes may not be so pleasant. So you may pick up on cigarette taste, cigar taste, things like that. Um, you could even pick up on, this is like, to me it's like, oh, I don't want this. um, Chemicals. You could pick up the taste of different chemicals. You could pick up the taste of drugs. You could pick up the taste of blood. Potentially metallic, salty, bitter, are other things that could happen that you could taste. So it's not necessarily just apple pie and fudge and strawberries. It could be some unpleasant tastes as well. And again, if this is happening, if you are picking up these tastes of, an alcohol or a cigarette, again, pay attention to your surroundings. If you're tasting cigarette and you're walking somewhere where there's a bunch of people smoking, you're probably picking that up. But if you're, for example, like in my house and sitting on the couch and watching TV and there's no windows open and there's no one around and I don't have neighbors except for, my in-laws and my parents that are not close. I mean, they're walking close, but their houses are not really close. Like, not like if their window is open and my window is open, like I could pick up something from their house. Um, and I am smelling cigarettes, then I know that that's not something that's naturally around me. That's not something, that's not a person that's here. There's not nobody smoking nearby, things like that. So again, just really pay attention to what is around you, what's going on, what's happening, and maybe what's happening in the next few minutes, to kind of pick those things up. One of the things I read, I didn't write it down, but I thought it was really interesting, is that a lot of people that have this gift tend to go into forensics. I guess that could be kind of cool. But to me, if you're picking up on tastes that are not so pleasant and you go into forensics, that's kind of, I don't know. I guess use your gift, right? Um, so, let's see what else I wrote down here. Some of the other things that your gift could do. Now, this one again is tricky because again, you really have to pay attention to what's going on around you. That's like the big thing for this one. I think for a lot of them, but especially for this one, for the Clairgustance, is if, say you are standing next to a woman in the grocery store and all of a sudden you taste orange juice. That could be part of the Clairgustance. That could be that you're picking up on the fact that maybe she likes orange juice. Maybe somebody she loves or loved orange juice. Or it could be that you're actually diagnosing and she could be lacking vitamin C and she needs some orange juice. So again, it's really things to pay attention to, and really, like I said, I think really writing them down and keeping track is super important with this one. When I read this part, I instantly thought of my daughter. Has the urge to lick things. My daughter, since she could move around and control her own hands and feet, she has had a tendency to lick things. It's very odd, but she does. And so you may have the urge to lick things. Now, the theory behind that is that it's your own natural way of cataloging tastes. So the more things you can catalog, the more things you can understand what it is when you're tasting it. So it would be like for me, being clairscient, when I smell something, I will want to know what vanilla smells like. I want to know what lavender smells like. I want to know what roses smell like. I want to know what tobacco smells like. I want to know, all the different smells. I want to know what each thing smells like. So when I smell it, I know what I'm smelling. So the theory behind the urge to lick things is that you are maybe even unconsciously doing this, is cataloging tastes so that you will have that in your catalog when you pick up a taste, that you will associate that back to what it actually is. So it's kind of weird, kind of interesting. If you want to become more Clairgustance, if you want to work with this, I don't know if I necessarily recommend going around licking things, especially not now in the time of COVID. Might not be overly healthy for you to be licking things, but some of the things you can do, like I said earlier, is if you're somebody who munches all day long, little meals or little snacks all day long, you may want to give yourself sometime during the day a gap. Now, whether that's like you're like, I'm going to eat supper at 5 and then I'm not going to have anything before I go to bed. So, and maybe you stay up till 8 or 9. So you've got a good 3 or 4 hours there where you're not eating anything. And maybe just drink water if you need to drink. Just drink water so you're not really adding anything to flavor. And then see if things are coming to you in that way. You could experiment and like go someplace and not eat or drink anything, maybe for a while when you're there, and see if you're picking up things. Family gatherings, maybe, not that we can be doing that right now for COVID, but you could kind of experiment with it and see if you're going to pick up on things from other people as well. If you want to enhance your Clairgustance, one of the things it recommended, and I can't give any personal experience on this one because I don't really experience this gift, but it said anything hot and spicy and things like that can kind of dull your taste buds. And so if you want to work more with this gift, I'm not saying you can't have flavor, you can't have herbs. it's basically saying anything that would be like hot or really spicy. So like chili peppers and things like that sort that would be hot that actually end up dulling your taste buds. So, and I didn't dive into like a list of foods that dull your taste buds. If that, you know, if you think you have this gift, you can certainly Google it and see what you come up with for foods that you might not want to be eating on a regular basis. Um, so those are things that could help if you kind of stay away from hot or spicy foods. Now, if you're on the other aspect of it and you think you have it and you don't want to work with it, you don't want to enhance it, you don't want to get better at it, then the flip side would be to go ahead and maybe eat some spicy food and you know, see if that helps. Um, I'm on the aspect of why would you want to not work with it? Um, but I can see where, you know, tasting unpleasant things could, you know, not be on the top of your list. um, you know, I occasionally smell unpleasant things, which, you know, is not a great experience, but it's not horrible. I would think tasting bad things would, you know, be worse than smelling bad things. Um, but again, I've not experienced this for myself. You know, some of the other Clairs, like I said, I've had little glimpses of this, but this one I don't believe I've experienced at all. Or again, if I have, it hasn't been to a noticeable point. Um, like nothing has really stuck out to me. Like, oh, that's weird that I just tasted that. Um, so if you want to work with some crystals that may help with this, um, I couldn't find many, but I did find a couple. Blue apatite, which just seems really funny that it's apatite, but it's not spelled the same. Some topaz would be working to help enhance. Citrine and black tourmaline. And then, of course, there's always quartz. Anytime you want to amplify anything, quartz is an amplifier. So if you are trying to call in more of any of your Clair gifts, you can work with quartz, and that is going to help do that for you. And again, I didn't find much for herbs or oils on Clairgustance. Again, these are much lesser known ones, and even finding information on them in general took some digging and some looking into. Um, but the two that I did come up with in a couple of different locations was lavender and Palo Santos. So our Palo Santos is our little sticks that we burn. And I burn these pretty much every couple of days. So you can pick up a Palo Santo stick. They're about $3 a stick. This one I have had about 2 years, and it's not even quite half burned. My lighter dying, I guess. There's still stuff in there. I can see it. Anyway. Oh, that's off. I just turned it. Anyway, Palo Santos is a good one to work with if you are trying to enhance Clairgustance, which is clear taste. And again, it's the ability to taste something without putting anything in your mouth. So that is the gist of it. And you'll notice I said something and not food because it can be non-food items. So that's going to wrap up Clairgustance. If you have any comments, any questions, I would love for you to put them below. Like I said, if you have any wisdom on this or personal experience, I would love for you to share because I would love to learn more about it myself. Like I said, this is one that, to my knowledge, I have not experienced. And so I would really love to hear from somebody that may have firsthand experience on it and see how it comes for them, how they experience it. So if you have friends or family that you think might have any of the Clairs and they might benefit from this video, please share or tag them in it. I always love it when you guys say hello, even if it's a hello or good morning or anything like that. I love knowing that it may be helpful to somebody out there. And again, just want to put it out there, I am no expert. I am no expert on any of these things. I love to learn as many things as I can learn about the whole metaphysical world. Religion, different types of spirituality, astrology. I love to learn about the Celtic Irish traditions, but I do love to learn all different things. And again, no expert on any of this, but I have learned about some of the Greek and Roman gods and goddesses. I've learned some about Buddhism. Because I just love to know all the different ways that different people do things. I love to find the connections between things, how different parts of the world back in, the AD times were millions of miles apart from each other. Not millions, I'm not good at geology, but were, on different continents or whatever, and they were celebrating the same things at the same times, and they didn't have phones, they didn't have Google, they didn't have text message. So how were they knowing to celebrate these same things at these same times? So I love to learn all about all this stuff. But so again, basically where I was going with that is I am no expert, but as I learn things, I like to share them with you guys. And if I've, maybe I taught you something new, which is great, or maybe I just sparked an interest for you to go exploring yourself and get some answers and do some digging on your own. With that, I have to go to work. I have to go to my muggle job. It's part of life. I will see you guys all back here on Monday morning for our weekly video forecast. And I hope everybody has a really great weekend. Remember to make some time for some self-care. And thanks for watching. And remember, as always, be kind. Your kindness is not only going to improve your day, it could improve somebody else's day, and it potentially could change somebody's life for the better. So, thanks for watching, guys. Love you. Bye.